I say it all the time. I'm going to say it again. LeBron bleeping James is the most interesting man in the history of sports. Every game he plays has some incredible narrative, some better than fiction narrative that I can't make up. Tonight was the all-time LeBron James Memorial Most Interesting Man in the History of the World game. LeBron just made a walk-off buzzer-beating shot. And it was simply the luckiest buzzer beater in the history of the world. Nobody ever, I've been doing this a long time. Nobody has ever had a luckier, easier walk-off buzzer beater than LeBron just had at Indiana in a game that, I'll quote J.J. Redick, just watched his press conference post-game. He said, "It feels like we won the game 3 times and we lost the game 3 times." I couldn't say it better, except I'm gonna up the numbers. It felt like the Lakers won it 12 times and lost it 12 times. Third to fourth quarter, the Lakers gave up a 17-2 run. That's how bad it was. The Lakers should have blown out the Pacers. They had them dead to rights. They had them way over an empty barrel at Indy. And all of a sudden, the game turns into the Indy 500. And it comes down to, this is just lunacy, but it's vintage LeBron. It comes down to the fact that LeBron James, through 3 quarters, hadn't scored a bucket. 0 buckets, 0 field goals made by LeBron James. Wound up 0 for 3 from 3. He wound up 4 of 12 from the field. But he had 3 points and 0 field goals through 3 quarters. That has never happened in the history of his career. 22 years worth of LeBron James at age 40, and this had never, ever happened in any NBA game he'd ever played. He'd always had field goals before the 3rd quarter. No field goals tonight. Think about that. None. And he goes on a flurry, as I predicted he would on X. They ISO'd him a couple times. He just got serious a couple times. Nobody can keep him from the rim. Finally made a jumper on an ISO play and finally got a little flow going. And all of a sudden, he'd scored 8 points, and all of a sudden, he went over the fated 10-plus because he had the all-time record for scoring at least 10 or more points in consecutive games. And he did it again tonight. Cost a bunch of people a lot of money. I'm sure they were on their knees praying against him tonight because there are those bets out there where you could make a fortune betting against his 10-plus. And it looked like he was in some jeopardy, but I said, no, it is LeBron James. He is the greatest scorer ever. It is the Indiana Pacers. I mean, they're good, but they're not great on defense. And he's still a man among children. He can play bully ball, even though he's a benign bully. Nicest guy in the world, too nice for my taste. No Jordan there. And yet he goes on this flurry, which didn't seem like that big a deal. And I'm thinking he's going to wind up with, I said 12, 13. I think I tweeted 11 or 12 points. Well, it looked like 11 was going to stand, right? So then somehow Indiana gets back in the game. And then all of a sudden, guess who? Rui Hachimura, who'd been out about as long as LeBron was out with his quote-unquote pulled groin. He was just resting up for the playoff stretch and run. But Rui came back with LeBron 2 games ago, looked a little rusty, couldn't get in sync, couldn't get in rhythm. And all of a sudden tonight, Rui, of all people, in the 2 biggest moments of the game, hits 2 huge threes. 2:23 left, he hits a 3 that puts him up 5. And I think, okay, that's it. Indiana's shot right in the heart. And he turns right around at 151 and hits another 3 to take the heart and the sound out of the home crowd. That's Caitlin Clark's building. She was there watching. She wanted to see Luka. She wanted to see LeBron. I'm sure she loves her Pacers and her Halliburton, but those 2, I'd want to go watch them too because we've never seen 2 greater passers as a duo, dynamic passing duo. We never seen anything like it ever. And they were both pretty good on offense tonight. But LeBron obviously spent a lot of his energy on the defensive end because they needed to lock down, because they'd given up 146 on Saturday night at home to Chicago and turned right around and lost, just got blown out in the fourth quarter at Orlando. So this was kind of a big deal tonight. It wouldn't have been the end of the world, but kind of a big deal to just feel a little better about who you are and what you can do in the Western Conference, as you're looking way up on the top of the mountain at my Oklahoma City Thunder, who are having simply the greatest year in the history of the National Basketball Association. If you want to give yourself some hope against those guys, if you do have to deal with them in the postseason, you better start now. You better start tonight. And there was a new commitment on the defensive end until the bitter end, when all of a sudden they go up 6, and I don't know what possessed them. It's like, are we there yet? You know the movie. Cube, shout out. Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Is that it? Are you guys going to quit now? No, they're not going to quit, because all of a sudden Nembhard slithers through and just gets a wide open layup. They're up 6, and all of a sudden you're up 4. And then all of a sudden Halliburton just slithers through a double team, and the Lakers just olay him, just let him go to the basket and lay it in right-handed off the glass. And I'm thinking, uh-oh. And then there's a terrible possession in which Luka drives to the basket. Help me out. Laker Nation, am I lying? I'm dying if I'm lying. Luka drives to the basket. I think he just got one guy to beat, and it's free throws at the very worst. And usually he just does some wizardry and makes the guy look like a fool. And at the last second, he's right at the rim and looks like he's got the advantage at the rim. He is 6 feet 7 inches tall and weighs like 250 pounds. And he can freight train just like LeBron. Underrated strength and girth and physicality from Luka. And at the last second, he kicks it out. And I'm like, what are you doing? What, are you trying to get LeBron an easy basket here? And they kind of hot potato the ball around, and Austin Reeves throws it out of bounds. So I'm thinking, what are you guys doing? All of a sudden, Halliburton comes down and makes a crazy floater, and Luka fouls him, and it's and one, and the Pacers are ahead. They're ahead? That's impossible. 42 seconds left. And then finally, the Lakers, they cough it up again, and it goes back down. And they played great defense on the final Pacers possession. Really great lockdown, team connected, physical, urgent, devoted defense. It's what they wanted to do in this game, and you got to see it on one key possession, and Mathurin had to just jack up a 3. And again, they're up a point at this point if he makes it, but it's a jack shot, and it's got little to no chance. And all of a sudden, the Lakers got the rebound, and to J.J. Redick's credit, and he took credit for it in his postgame, he let him play. And he said, hey, Indy's in scramble mode on defense. I'm just going to – listen, if you got LeBron James and Luka Doncic and Austin Reeves, who, by the way, was undrafted and plays like an all-star opposite those two all-timers. He scored 24 tonight. Luka had 34 and was 6 of 7 for 3. His hot streak continues from 3. But if you got those guys cooking on offense, just let them play. They'll figure it out. Somebody's going to figure it out. You want to talk about high IQ. No team in the history of basketball has had higher IQ in the backcourt than these Lakers in the history of basketball. It's like they have, I've said, 2 Magics on the floor. But they actually have 2.5 Magics, because I'm going to give Austin Reeves kind of a half a Magic. He's that smart. He's that talented. He's that skilled with the basketball. You see him bringing the ball up against Mathurin? You can't bother him. What a handle he has. So you just let him play. And the ball goes, it swings to LeBron over sort of in the corner. And Luka's saying, here, you do this. You go. And LeBron says, no, I don't want it. Hot potatoes it back out to Luka. LeBron wanted no part of it, and he went quiet in the fourth quarter after the flurry. So at this point, he had scored 8 points pretty quickly. He can flurry like nobody can flurry in the history of this game. So he had already flurried himself out, and he looked a little gassed and also a little gun-shy. He was 0 for 3 from 3. He didn't want to do that. He just said, nope, it's not my night. I don't have it. You guys do it. And it swings right back to the top. He threw it all the way back out to Luka, who has to make a move. Now it's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and he drives down the lane, and actually, as he always does, he created pretty great space. And he makes a shot, didn't make it, but he took a shot that is just a touch short, hits the front of the rim, back iron, little glass, back to the front of the rim, and trickles off. And guess who's left all alone at the rim for a tip-in? LeBron bleeping James is uncovered at the rim. Nobody blocks him out. And now I'm going to get to Jarace Walker. Maybe you don't know him. I barely know him. I just know him from Houston because he was a good player at Houston. He was the 8th overall pick, got traded to Indy on draft night. Sort of languished last year because he just couldn't get on the floor as they went to the Eastern Conference Finals. And he is a defensive specialist. So before the last sequence, which surprised me because I don't know why. I don't get it, but I love Rick Carlisle, so I'm not going to condemn him for this. But somehow he had taken out Tyrese Halliburton and put in Jarace Walker, who played 8 total minutes. He scored 5 points in 8 minutes. So I don't think it was an offense. I think it was a defensive move. I guess he liked his bigger body on LeBron. I don't know. I don't know why he was in the game. And frankly, Jarace Walker didn't know why he was in the game. Because if you look at it again, if you got it on tape, if you see it on the highlight show, look at it. I'm pretty sure Jarace Walker is supposed to screen LeBron on the Luka drive. Luka bangs into Nembhard, and there's a lot of contact. He's not going to get that call. He can beg his ass off. He's not going to get that call. There was a lot of banging contact, maybe offense, maybe deep, no call. But the ball just trickles off the front, and you can look, number 5, Jarace Walker, is just, I don't know what he's doing. He's behind LeBron, and he seems shell-shocked. Oh, my God, I didn't screen him. And LeBron is standing flat-footed and gets to just barely jump and tip the ball at just a split second before the buzzer, just tip it back over the rim. And he did a nice job of timing his jump, making sure the ball left the rim, which he would do. He's the highest IQ in basketball, highest this side of Magic. I don't know, Bird was up there too. Stockton was pretty good too, but high IQ. And he gets to tip it in. I didn't know if he'd beaten the buzzer, but he did. Split second, beat the buzzer. LeBron bleeping James made a walk-off shot, and it was the simplest, easiest, dumbest walk-off shot allowed ever. You just let LeBron James at 6'9" just stand flat-footed. There's just nobody around. Nobody's around. You just let him tip it in. Way to go, LeBron. So there was no clutch gene involved because you don't really need a clutch gene. I guess he could have missed it. If he'd missed it, nobody would have condemned him for it because you could say, well, it was a tough tip or whatever. No, it wasn't. Big hands, dunker's hands. You just go back and just ease it back over the rim, and he did. I don't know. I guess there's a tiny bit of clutchness involved. I'm going to give you that, LeBron, because you did make a walk-off. You try to make walk-offs from 30 feet, and I keep saying, just attack the basket. Well, this didn't even require the ambidexterity of left-hand, right-hand basket. It didn't require you getting fouled and having to go to the free throw line and close your eyes because you'd have to make 2 to win and 1 just to tie. And we all know what might have happened. You might have LeBrick 2 free throws on national TV, live on ESPN. You might have LeBrick 2 free throws to lose the game. Instead, you got a little putback, just a little tippity-tappity in. Way to go, LeBron. The basketball gods loved you tonight. They didn't love you for a while, but after you said, I'm not going to let go of the rope, as J.J. Redick just said, I'm going to do this. After that, you were great. Way to go, LeBron. You clutched up at the buzzer. Jarace Walker?